Around March of last year, we saw Apple release the cheapest iPad we've ever seen, and now there's rumors that they're trying to make it even cheaper? Is this even possible? What more could they possibly do to make it cheaper? Perhaps removing the headphone jack would save a step in the manufacturing process. No, I'm pretty sure that's not it. But yeah, this is a very strange rumor. Not one I would have predicted or called out Apple to say, yeah, this will probably happen in 2018. But rumors are still circulating around a new iPad coming out around March, so just next month, maybe later, we're not sure, of a very budget iPad starting at $280 instead of $330, because that $50 difference was killing the idea of owning an iPad. There were all these people out there in the market who are like, oh, how much is an iPad? $330. Oh no, I can't do that. What if it was $280? Okay, that seems more reasonable. The question that pops into my head is that iPad was often criticized for being, yeah, cheap, but not having any of the flagship features that Apple likes to promote their iPads for. The whole what's a computer campaign between the Smart Keyboard and the Apple Pencil, which the 2017 iPad, as we all end up calling it, didn't have at all. Didn't even have a rose gold option. Came in black, silver, and gold. But even then, I had to keep reminding myself back when I reviewed that product, the primary feature of this device is its price point. I knew 4 people who ordered one when those were released. It's because when Apple does something that's not really that fancy and is just supposed to be budget friendly, usually they don't try to outdo themselves. They just stick with what they know. They made a good iPad. Charges via Lightning, can take live photos, fairly good video, no camera bump, and overall it was just a decent iPad for people. The reason Apple probably didn't hold a keynote over that iPad 4 was because it was actually slightly thicker than the iPad Air 2, which it was replacing. This was the thickness of an iPad Air, but just had the better processor. Of course, now that you're buying a brand new product, the lithium battery degradation can restart its cycle, and for a low price point of $330. What can they do this year to make it $280? I don't know. And that's why I'm thinking that rumors are either just flat out wrong, or perhaps because of the success they had in the iPad growth market last year. Even though tablets as a whole were in decline, iPad sales went up. I think that extremely budget 2017 iPad was one of the reasons for it. So many people were like, hey, you can get a pretty large iOS device for just that much? Sure, why not? I'll buy it. That helps the numbers go up, and it at least gets customers interested in the idea of owning an iPad. Sometimes I think people buy that 2017 version and see, oh, here's what's possible with an iOS tablet, and then later down the line might look at the iPad Pros, which are a lot more expensive, but think, man, my iPad could be a lot better. So my theory is that the current 2017 iPad, which is just a budget-friendly iPad, is actually the $280 model people are rumored to be talking about. I think that this March or this summer, whenever the new budget iPad comes out, they're going to lower the price of the current one to $280, which will definitely be one of the cheapest yet fairly powerful iPads you could ever buy. And then we're going to get a slightly updated version of that iPad, maybe the 2018 iPad, as we'll call it. We'll replace that slot at maybe a little bit higher, like $350 to $400, but include some of the more iPad Pro flagship features. You know, before the 2017 iPad came out, there was quite a diverse lineup of iPads. I think I remember at one time at least there being iPad Mini 2, iPad Mini 4, iPad Air 2, and the iPad Pro and 12.9-inch iPad Pro. There was just this giant selection of iPads for people to choose from, and then I think Tim Cook just decided, you know what, we need to simplify this lineup a little bit. And now there's just the 4, I believe. The Mini 4, the 2 new iPad Pros, and now that 2017 iPad. Not a huge selection anymore, which is fine. It's great that they want to simplify it, but I do think it's a little bit weird that we have these very capable iPad Pros that I love using, my 10.5-inch one, that have the ProMotion displays that can do 4K video, and they have optical image stabilization, Apple Pencil support, Smart Keyboard support, all of these really cool things, and then at the very end we have budget-friendly iPad, which does not support the Apple Pencil and does not support the Smart Keyboard, and I think that's confusing for people. They're confused when they look at an iPad lineup and go, oh, that one's cheap, let me use this Apple Pencil on here. Oh wait, it doesn't do that. So that's why my guess is that with the 2018 refresh of the budget iPad, it for one will have a better processor, whether it be the A10 or A10X chip, I'm not sure, but something that's a little bit faster than the previous generation, but also fix that most hated design change with the 2017 iPad and give it a laminated display. And I think when you do a laminated display, it's a lot more possible to embed the Apple Pencil technology necessary for those two products to support themselves, because perhaps everyone who bought an Apple Pencil bought one in 2015 in that 2016 era, and since then there's really been no reason to buy another one. I still have mine. I still use it when I make video thumbnails and it works great, but I'm sure sales for that Apple Pencil have been tanking pretty hard because everyone who needed one got one. And even if you upgraded your iPad Pro to the 2017 versions, your Apple Pencil still worked. So perhaps if they do end up doing a March event, which I personally don't think is going to happen, or if they at least do a website refresh, they can release the new 2018 budget version of the iPad, which will support the Apple Pencil. Maybe if they're feeling generous, even include a smart connector so that smart keyboards can work with it, and you can have a very capable tablet that is fit with a physical keyboard and very capable stylus that work together. That way, while the starting price of the iPad is cheap, via accessories, Apple can make a little bit more. When I start thinking about the iPad refresh in that regard, I go, okay, that's something Apple might do. Maybe even at the same time, they could provide a little bit of an Apple Pencil refresh. I'm not sure how possible it is, but I would love to see a wireless charging Apple Pencil, or maybe just instead of having that lightning cap on the end of it that everyone complains about so much, charging it in that awkward way, the back of the Apple Pencil could charge in the same way an AirPod charges. Just that little ring around the end, and when it slips into its perfect little wireless charging holder, it can just charge. That might cost more, I'm not sure, but I think Apple has received plenty of criticism about that Apple Pencil charging method, and if they're able to find a new way of charging it, I'm pretty sure anything would be better right now. As long as it's not a quadruple A battery. That's just dumb. But the main thing I'd really like to see with an Apple Pencil refresh is simply just more colors. That's with any accessory Apple makes. Can you just make a black version, maybe a blush gold version? I've seen Apple Pencil concepts all over the place and they look really cool. That's how you could get me excited about getting a stylus again, because I mean, right now, who wants a stylus if you've already bought the Apple Pencil one? So that's what my guess is for the ultra budget 2018 iPad. It's actually just last year's, and then we're going to get a refresh of that because it was such a success in the upcoming months, which we'll be very curious to see. I think a lot more people would actually buy an Apple Pencil or a smart keyboard if they could get a budget-friendly iPad that also supports those things. Let me know what you think's gonna happen with the iPad lineup. Apart from the iPad 10 concepts, we all know that Face ID is on its way. But all your predictions, I'd like to hear them. Let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.